the Executive Vice President at Chemical Shandong Energy Group. Abu Bakr Kyojo, the Chief Executive Officer at Air Products Qudra. Quentin Dibasham, the Chief Executive Officer at Axons. Philippe Marino, the Group Vice President at Air Liquide. John van der Walden, the Senior Vice President of Global Sales and Technology at Linde Engineering. We have with us expertly moderating this discussion is Mr. Youssef Al-Shemmeri, the President of the London College of Energy Economics. Let us give a warm welcome to our panelists and moderator.
Thank you. I'm very delighted to be here, guys, and thank you for all the perfect speakers that we have today. We have had a great morning today with fantastic speeches from various speakers from the company, and we've seen excellent initiatives taking place here in the kingdom and in the region towards sustainability in the energy transition sector. So without further ado, I would like to, of course, thank you, Moses, for introducing our speakers. I would like to put a few questions and learn about what's happening in the industry here, especially in the kingdom, and in the, of course, ChemIndix is taking place for the first time in the region at a very critical time today with all these global sustainability efforts taking place, and I believe the region is taking a pivotal role in that. So I would like to put the first question to Dr. Ali. Amid the growing calls, of course, there is now growing calls on the oil and gas industry to transition. So how does Aramco view the opportunities presented from the low-carbon energy transition? Of course, today we've heard fantastic speeches from Aramco speakers, but I'd like to have more details into this low-carbon transition and what does it mean for the oil and gas industry.
Okay, thank you very much, Youssef, and I'm very honored to be part of this distinguished panel. In Aramco is committed to deliver affordable and sustainable energy to all of our customers, and we are actually producing the lowest carbon intensity when it comes to the crude that we are exporting. And this is not something new. These practices that we have adopted were there for decades, and we are reaping the fruit right now and becoming the lowest carbon intensity producer. And we are continuing this journey. We are going to have a very ambitious goal by 2050 to have net zero for scope 1 and 2 for our wholly owned affiliates. When it comes to decarbonization in general, we have a strategy in Aramco called Decarbonization Strategy. Recently, we just finalized the roadmap for all of our assets and how to decarbonize it, and finalized also our investment plan in order to execute this strategy. In addition to that, we are looking at different levers in this strategy, including carbon capture and sequestration, using renewables and energy efficiency. These three levers collectively will help us to reduce more than 35 million tons per annum by 2035. In the area of carbon capture and sequestration, we are going to have the largest carbon capture and sequestration that will capture 9 million tons per annum, and I invite everyone here to go to Aramco booth. There is like a 3D demo to explain that. In the area of renewables, we are going to add 12 gigaton by 2030 to help decarbonize our operation, and the energy efficiency program under our engineering services organization is an old program that is implemented for a long time, and we are seeing the fruit of this program.
I believe you had an article published at Petroleum Economist, which was truly amazing in terms of the key figures that Aramco always makes when it comes to the efforts made by the oil and gas industry. I would like to move now to Mr. Yang, who is representing the CEO of Shandong Energy. And Jan, you're the Director of International Business at Shandong Energy, which is a leader in terms of coal-based energy generation in China. And I know that China has a net zero target by 2060. So your country, or sorry, your company has been advocating clean coal. So how does what your company is advocating fits into the Chinese strategy to become net zero by 2060?
Okay, thank you, Yusuf. It's a great honor to attend this event, and probably most of you are not so familiar with Shannon Energy. I would like to give a very brief introduction of our group. In fact, we mainly engaged in coal business and chemicals, as well as new materials and new energies. On top of that, we have also big scale business on modern, trade and logistics. In this year, we ranked 75th among the Fortune Global 500. I know it is not as big as Aramco, but it is big enough in China. And in terms of delivering the 30-60, carbon reduction targets set by the central government, we have the following actions. First of all, we have established our, dual carbon, management department, and we are establishing, our own, carbon calculation and reduction systems. It will be launched in operation in 2025. And secondly, as you know, we have also launched the digitalization of our mining business to reduce the labors, improve the efficiencies, which we believe indirectly can further reduce the carbon emission. And thirdly, in fact, in terms of the chemical business, we have many plants across China, and we are focusing on the research R&D on the downstream, different types of products. So we want to use green energies combined with our chemicals to make it even more greener. That's the briefing answer. Thank you.
So you believe that coal is part of Chinese future energy mix?
In short term, yes.
Thank you. We will move now to Mr. Abu Bakr, who is from Air Products, and I'm sure that Air Products is now becoming a very important part of Saudi Arabia energy future. And I know, Abu Bakr, you have been pioneering the hydrogen projects in the kingdom in partnership with Aramco, Aqua Power. And here, what I would like to ask you, we hear multiple statements when it comes to the future of hydrogen economy, whether it's the challenges in the offtake, whether it's stimulating demand. Suppliers are kind of reluctant to make investments until they ensure that there is off-takers ready. So what are the challenges that your company has faced, whether operating in the kingdom or globally, when it comes to the hydrogen taking or becoming a hydrogen supplier?
Thank you, Dr. Yusuf. I think this is a good question. Well, first of all, challenges, opportunities. We as a company, there are obviously challenges, but we see the opportunities overwhelming, right, rather than the challenges. We understand that the hydrogen topic itself is a relatively new topic, although it's, among the academia, among the engineers, been on the table since many, many decades. But we're obviously considering that Air Products is the world's largest hydrogen producer and supplier. We're also committed to drive the hydrogen development, hydrogen expansion, but also the energy transition. So therefore, the investments, the initiatives we are doing are serious projects. We're less talking, but walking the talk in many instances. Today, name it the grey hydrogen, the conventional grey hydrogen field, but also the green, blue hydrogen, and whatever colors you see on the low carbon hydrogen side. We are trying to dominate as much as we can do, and I think our investments, what we do particularly in the kingdom, speaking more itself rather than just words. If you recall, we have invested in Jazan, which is in the south of Saudi Arabia, together with our partner Saudi Aramco and Aqua on the IGCC, where we are producing syngas, meaning hydrogen, utilizing the hydrogen to produce power. The power we're going to produce in Jazan is at the value of 4 gigawatts. 4 gigawatts. This is the daily consumption today of Denmark. I mean, if you just digest what this means, and this is purely driven by hydrogen as a source. The hydrogen there is grey, but just going a little bit to the north, staying in the kingdom, we have NEOM. NEOM, we're investing heavily in the world's largest, by far, the world's largest green hydrogen project in NEOM, together with our partners of NEOM and Aqua. This is an investment today at the range of almost $9 billion. So this is also seriously progressing. We have received already first modules. The project is continuing on a very successful basis with a target to go on stream by 2027, early 27. So the kingdom will be the largest hydrogen exporter on that sense. And as Ali mentioned, coming to our side, to Sharjah, to the eastern province, we are very proud and honored to partner with Saudi Aramco on our blue hydrogen industrial gases hub, which is today already at the accomplishment phase. We can proudly also say today that this is the largest hydrogen network in the Middle East. So all in all, if I count all the investments from our perspective, just focusing on hydrogen, we have already crossed the 23 billion US dollar line. And these are not MOUs, right? No intentions. These are real signed contracts, finance contracts on the ground. So I don't want to say it openly, but today we are the largest foreign direct investor in the kingdom, and we are proud to be here. And we're also proud to see that the leadership is supporting the drive into the hydrogen. So having the kingdom as, you know, the largest oil producer, or one of the largest oil producers, we will become also the largest hydrogen producer. So from that perspective, we're very, very happy to be here to support the energy transition, focusing mainly on the component of hydrogen.
Fantastic. Oh, that's interesting. We move now to Quentin from Access in France. And I believe your company has been pioneering biomass and liquid hydrocarbon conversions. And the question is, how do you view opportunities in the region when it comes to the low carbon transition, and especially using liquid and solid sources of energy when it comes to producing hydrogen or multiple other clean fuels? So what initiatives that your company has taken over the past decade, and especially here in the region, has there been any achievements or any initiatives?
Thank you for inviting me today. I will start with a global consideration about global warming, and the idea that we have is that we need to act fast to reduce the accumulation of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and that technology in our mind is essential. When we talk about reducing carbon footprint, we talk a lot about new technologies, but we believe that decoupling is the first way to act on. Decoupling means continuing to produce fuels and chemicals with the existing assets, but at a lower CO2 footprint. And one direction that we have is to try to use all possible technologies to reduce the carbon footprint per ton of product in existing refineries and chemical plants. And this is valid for the worldwide industry. Then we have, for the last 10 years, gone to low carbon, what we call low carbon technologies, the capability to produce fuels and chemicals at a lower footprint. And in fact, you have a wide range of options for this. You can start from lipids, you can start from biomass, you can start from ethanol, you can start from electricity. And in fact, what we realize today is that though the issue is global, we need to reduce CO2 globally, the solutions, many of them will be local, depending upon the limitations and the availability of resources. There are some regions where you have waste, used cooking oil, for example, you need to upgrade them. You have some regions where you have extensive biomass, then it makes sense to convert biomass into fuels and chemicals. You have some other parts of the world where you have low carbon electricity, hydraulic, nuclear, where it makes sense to start from this electricity to produce fuels and chemicals. And you have some other regions where you have a lot of sun, and so huge potential to use this energy from solar. So my general point is that each country will go for specific solutions to try to see how we could accommodate, extend, modify technologies to develop low carbon technologies. And then for other technologies more breakthrough, we have gone through demonstration plants. That's what we discussed today, essential to limit the risk of the technology. And then the next step will be, as Mr. Okello said, affordability. What we see is that as of today, it costs much more to produce sustainable fuels, sustainable chemicals, and our challenge as a technology company, we believe, is first, in the next 5 years, to demonstrate technologies at commercial scale in different configurations. And then the next challenge will be, how can we, with a process, with chemical industry, have economies of scale that allow to reduce the cost for the consumer.
I move now to Philippe from Air Liquide, and I believe also in France. The question. I move now to Philippe from Air Liquide, and I believe also in France. The question change, and of course here when it comes to the investment, there's also one part on the consumption side. How do you see the infrastructure evolving, especially in the Middle East, and when it comes to how Liquide can seize these opportunities for hydrogen consumers? What or Air Liquide can provide in terms of solving these challenges?
Okay, hello Joseph, hello everybody, and congratulations for the organization of this great event. I think that the first thing to have in mind is that 2030, that is an important term for the kingdom, is tomorrow. So that means that now for all these technologies, we are at a time where it's time for delivery. And therefore, what we look at and what we believe in at Air Liquide is to bring technologies that have already gone through operations. It's to bring technologies linked to energy transition, linked to clean energies, that have already this operational experience, that has this cycle of design to operations and back to utilization in terms of design. And this is true for a lot of our technologies linked to clean energy or decarbonization. I said a word about tomorrow, 2030. I think that we can also act as of today, I think. And it's important. We have assets in the kingdom producing huge quantities of hydrogen. We are investing to improve these assets. We are investing also in talent, because without talent we will not be able either to tackle the challenges we have ahead of us. So it's a key element. And while we keep preparing the after tomorrow, the after 2030, through R&D, of course.
Nice, thank you. John from Linde. My question to you, because it's been multiple questions on hydrogen, and according to McKinsey, there are 5 scenarios. There is a recent article published, and they see that these 5 scenarios, when it comes to the future hydrogen demand, it depends on the momentum for achieving that net zero target. So whether it can be ranged from slightly more than 100 million ton today, or by 2050, depending on the momentum, going up to more than 500 million ton. So Linde, and I believe your company is a leader when it comes to hydrogen production, especially from liquid hydrocarbons. Where do you see the future demand, depending on what McKinsey has published? Maybe you have your own forecast for that.
First of all, also from my end, of course, thank you to the organization for having us. It's a pleasure to be here amongst so many peers and the colleagues in the kingdom to present ourselves. Your question related to hydrogen from liquid hydrocarbons is quite specific, to my opinion, related to Linde because of at least a flagship project which we have recently executed. And for those who don't know, I mean, Linde is the world's largest gases and integrated engineering company. And the engineering is not only doing the EPC, but also having the technology in-house. And one of the things, besides of the traditional ASU business, was our hydrogen and syngas business, which, you know, in the past we were building ASUs and reformers, and it was later that we used the experience we had on the third-party market in terms of crackers, LNG plants, and gas processing plants, where we were building multi-billion-dollar installations in-house, to deploy this also for the investments. And this we had recently done. Just before COVID, we started on a gasification project in Singapore, 2 existing gasifiers for new gasifiers, heavy pitch, needs quite some temperature in order to gasify this. And this was for us an example in which we could produce syngas from a refinery stream and provide the syngas back. And this is commissioned by us and getting operational also with the refinery soon. Of course, the big advantage of this is that the CO2 is still in the process and can easily be captured, which is also still something which is under development, which allows you to be not only sustainable in terms of circularity of your pitch back into your process with syngas, but also to have the CO2 captured at the same time. Now, we see a lot of opportunities where we are reforming on the basis of different renewables. If this is only liquid, no. We see refinery off-gases, so the integration with these refineries create opportunities in terms of reforming with then post-combustion carbon capture and others. At the same time, we see that in these markets for us remain a niche if you look into the mainstream of plays. At the moment, it's clear. A lot of the developments are related to low-carbon hydrogen, natural gas with carbon capture based on an ATR solution is something we are executing in large volume at the moment because technology is available at scale. Funding schemes are in place, particularly US, Canada, we see UK, and others are following. And also in the Kingdom, we are looking into these opportunities. Now, green, besides of a few exceptions like you have here in the Kingdom, we see that, of course, the scale up and the availability of renewable power, cost of renewable power, will still take its time to come to maturity. So again, in a nutshell, the question to your answer for liquid hydrocarbons as a basis for hydrogen, we see those opportunities, we have the technology, we think it's a niche. We think mainstream will be low carbon hydrogen with green to come in the future.
Interesting, thank you. I come back to Dr. Ali now. Dr. Ali, now everyone talks AI and it's becoming a buzzword. So there is no energy event that you go around the world and the term AI is not dominating all sessions. So, and I believe Aramco is pretty much a leader in everything. So even now Aramco, we see it investing in cloud technology and big data and Internet of Things. So, and I believe you have a major experience in the upstream side. So how does Aramco look at the future of AI in enabling low carbon transition?
Okay, thank you. I think this is a very interesting question, and as you mentioned, AI is looked at as a buzzword, and to be honest with you, I think it's sometimes even abused, because some people, they just use simple Excel sheet to do some mathematical model, and they call this an AI. AI is something deeper than this, and we believe in Saudi Aramco that AI as part of technology is one of the main enablers to help us in our long-term strategy and specific to help us to decarbonize. AI is part not only of our core business in upstream and downstream, it is extended even to different organizations like corporate organizations like law and support organizations like HR and supply chain. In Aramco, there are several organizations that we have under digital and information technology. We have a digital transformation officer in Aramco who is reporting the Senior VP of digital and information technology. Under his organization, many experts in the AI who are working with upstream, downstream business units and other organizations within the company in order to bring solutions that will help us to optimize cost and our operation to see how these AI solutions can help us to decarbonize. We have many solutions across the supply chain from exploration. We have several AI solutions that we have implemented recently. Before, when we run seismic, we collect millions of data points. It's really difficult for a human brain to make conclusion out of this data. There is a lot of noisy data, and the processing and interpretation of such data takes a long time, and we get it in a very low resolution to see subsurface layers. Now with these digital AI solutions, and also with support of supercomputer that we have acquired recently, we can run these data more efficiently, faster, and with the highest resolution possible, so it can help us to explore more hydrocarbon resources. When we go to the next part, when we look at, for example, managing our hydrocarbon resources, simulation is part of our DNA for decades, but recently AI solutions became enablers to help us to expedite, quality control the data, put the best and most accurate geological model that will give us the best solution that will help us to forecast. And we don't do any action in our hydrocarbon resources before we check our digital twin to see if this action is going to help us to get the highest recovery and get the lowest carbon emission. And guess what, as we speak right now, Saudi Aramco is the leader when it comes to the lowest cost per barrel and the lowest cost per barrel of oil equivalent. There are other examples that I can share with you. For example, I mentioned supply chain. Supply chain, right now they are implementing an AI solution that will help us to bring whatever material through our supply chain to our operation upstream and downstream with the lowest cost, fastest time, the highest quality, and lowest CO2 emission. Also, here is one of my direct report sitting with me. He is my assistant, and he always complaining about how much time it takes to have a non-disclosure agreement with our collaborators. It takes sometimes months. Right now, working with Aramco Digital Company, we brought a solution that can do a non-disclosure agreement in matters of hours rather than months. Saudi Aramco has Saudi Acceleration Innovation Lab, and that lab is like a small ecosystem where we have AI scientists, data scientists, and subject matter experts coming from business units. They sit together and they work on different challenges in our upstream and downstream organizations, and every year they produce many products. We have them, they are part of our board in Saudi Aramco. You can have a meeting with them. And in addition to that, we have Aramco Digital Company that we have established, and it's going to have a lot of digital transformation, not only for Saudi Aramco, not only for the kingdom, but also globally. So I invite everybody to approach Aramco Digital to see what they can offer in this area.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Another question to Mr. Yang. I believe China, when it comes to its future energy growth strategy, it's now changing from quantity to quality. And I believe this has had ramifications on the energy demand growth. So for Shandong Energy, how does your future strategy fit into the new Chinese model, which comes somehow after the COVID pandemic?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Youssef. In fact, I can answer these questions briefly. That is, first of all, we have accordingly adjusted our strategy. As I answer your first question, we have, make our core business lean, efficient to indirectly reduce the carbon emission. And we also combine our core business and new energies together with chemical to make it even greener. On top of that, we also invest more in the projects and CapEx on new energy projects such as solar farms, offshore or wind farm investors. That's a new direction. And secondly, I think we have paid more attention and attached more importance on the R&D. The Chinese central government has set benchmark that is 3% of the revenue should be spent on R&D for state-owned enterprise. We have set relevant targets for each subsidiary based on their categories of the business they engage in. It varies, but anyhow, that's one important KPI nowadays across the group. And thirdly, we are even more open up. In the last 2 days, we had a very good meeting with Mr. Al-Bashari and his team. We also visited the Aramco R&D Center. We found that there are a lot of common ground we can further explore the opportunities, try the new technologies. And in fact, Shandong Energy is even more open up and happy to establish collaborations and communications with the leading companies in relevant business or sectors to try the new technologies. We believe we can work together and enjoy the fruitful outcome together and make us even more lean, greener. Thank you.
Thanks, you. Abu Bakr, I have a couple of questions to you. Of course, you are a major US company in the region, and I believe you have something like $23 billion already in investments. So here, one or two questions. What are the challenges that you face when it comes to financing? And how do you see AI as an enabler, or maybe
and obstacle. So, this is a very challenging combination of two tricky questions. Let me start with the first one. Well, obviously, I mean, financing is always a topic for any company, irrespective how strong your balance sheet is. End of the day, you want to build these and execute these projects also in a financially healthy manner. So what I think I can give you an example of what we're doing, particularly also from the region. You need always two for a tango, right? One is a group of very committed and smart lenders, groups of lenders. But on the other side, you need also a group of committed developers. You know, I'm not saying one developer. I mean, if you look to the projects what we are currently doing, and I think this was the quintessence of the speeches in advance, today you cannot do these mega projects just by yourself. You need a consortium of partners. You need companies who are strong in their core business, who can then reflect the added value also in this consortium. So lenders are looking usually to these aspects. What do lenders really want to get from investments? First of all, they look for technology. Is the technology mature? I mean, obviously, if you look to the hydrogen development, industrial gases development, the technology is quite proven, right? And secondly, it's the execution risk. I mean, new developers who have never executed large projects, obviously they will have difficulties to also get financing for these large projects. In our case, we are a 70, 80 years company, have already executed multiple projects, so there is a good reference of basically also convincing the lenders that this can be proven. I think a good example is the NEOM project. If you look to the NEOM project, the consortium of NEOM, Aqua, and Air Products, I mean, NEOM is coming obviously with the strength of having the government, the land, the access, etc., which is extremely important added value to the success of the project. On the other side, you have Aqua, which is providing the renewable power, solar, wind, etc. And then Air Products, which is basically involved in the whole value chain from the hydrogen production, electrolyzers, converting into ammonia, and then shipping it out. So if you look from a lender's perspective, the lender will obviously be satisfied and tick mark this box of having A-tier companies involved in this. But the most important topic here is, do you have offtakes? And I think here it's also very important to emphasize that Air Products, for the realization of this mega project, has committed for a 20 years offtake. And I think this is a very, very bold statement and very, very bold, step, which is first of all showing our commitment into the kingdom, but also our ambition and our, let me say, drive as a world's largest producer and supplier in hydrogen, that we have to also lead the development and the energy transition, particularly in the low carbon hydrogen sphere. So, meaning to say, I mean, we have today in NEOM, for instance, more than 23 lenders. 23 lenders mixed with national banks, national funds, but also international. Coming to another point, I mean, you said if there are any challenges in the financing, I think we can also confidently say that Saudi Arabia is also a powerhouse, meanwhile, when it comes to financing. We have very strong institutions, financial institutions, we have very strong banks, and therefore for the fellows who are not yet invested in the kingdom, my reach out today here is please, I mean, don't think twice. Today is already late. You had to be already in the kingdom since yesterday. So therefore, we are going to grow, we're going to invest, and this is what we have done today, just the initial step what we have so far launched. Coming to the other point with AI. AI, absolutely important, absolutely crucial, especially for a company like Air Products, where we're operating globally multiple large-scale industrial gases and hydrogen plants, which are also connected to multiple, pipeline networks. Today, we're operating the world's largest hydrogen network in the world, in the US Gulf Coast, which is 1,000 kilometers. Where are 25 large-scale hydrogen production units feeding into the network, and then you're supplying to all the companies you can imagine, right? From BP, Shell, Motiva, etc. So operating of these large-scale plants through digitization is important, which is already embedded. You have remote control systems, but embedding AI into these operations is absolutely essential to increase already your reliability, which is at 99.98. You have to keep this actually at a very high peak, and AI will play an important role in realizing this. Just to conclude, AI is important, but as important as AI are also data centers, right? And I think here, as Ali said, Aramco Digital is driving very, very sophisticated this initiative. And we're also proud, I mean, I cannot announce anything here, but we're also proud, hopefully, to contribute also our part into the development of AI in the kingdom and beyond.
Thank you. Kanton, this question of sustainability when it comes to production of new products, especially from the chemical industry, always raises questions about the waste. And I believe here plastics is one major part of the waste when it comes to producing or the final supply chain of hydrocarbons. So how does Axen look at the recycling and the reducing the impact of the end consumer coming from the hydrocarbon industry?
Yeah, in Accents we are strong believers of circularity, which means the reuse of spent or waste products. We are strong believers for two reasons. One is that we have experience of this already, and second, because in terms of carbon footprint, it has a benefit to recycle some products instead of producing fresh ones. When I'm saying that we have experience, in fact we have experience of circularity on catalysts. As a licensor of technology, we also produce catalysts, and we have two plants in Saudi Arabia. One is producing fresh catalysts, and we have another plant that is regenerating catalysts, basically taking catalysts that have been used, regenerate and reuse them in the same service. This is what we call closed short loop. And we believe that the next step will be plastics. Plastics, there is a huge availability of spent plastics. We believe that acceptance of plastics in the future will be dependent upon recycling more plastics. And we have developed technologies over the last years in two directions. One is around recycling polyethylene, and the second one is around recycling PET, polyethylene terephthalate. The first route, starting from polyethylene, relies on two steps. One is pyrolysis, where you produce from your plastics some what we call py oil, and the second step of purification with a technology that is very similar to what we use in refining applications. Then the product goes back to petrochemicals, and namely the steam crackers. So this is a loop that is a closed loop, but it is relatively large. On PET, we have gone through another development where we do a short closed loop whereby we take PET and we transform PET into a monomer that can then be polymerized down the line. And these two technologies today are under design in projects in Europe and in the US. And I believe that these routes need very deep integration with petrochemical industry. And in the kingdom, with our experience on catalyst and with the availability of plastics, I believe that there is potential to implement this kind of new routes, polypropylene, polyethylene, PET, and in the future polypropylene. And there is potential to innovate and implement this kind of routes in the kingdom, with two challenges. One is technical. Basically, when you deal with waste, you need to have a technology that adapts to a very wide range of feedstock, which is a new world. It's different from the conventional chemical industry, where your streams are relatively narrow in quality. You need to expose yourself to a very large range of quality, which is a challenge. And the second one is the same as what I said before, is the cost. Unlike catalyst circularity, where it is cheaper to use a regenerated catalyst than a fresh, on plastics, until now, it costs more to recycle plastics. So we have a challenge to reduce the cost in the future and further develop the technologies.
Well, thank you. I move to Philippe again. Philippe, the carbon markets is always, I believe, it's been taking a more important role. And I believe in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the PIF and Tadawul have both launched one of the world's largest carbon trading platforms, where I believe more than 1 billion tons to be traded. So how does Air Liquide view carbon markets when it comes to enabling the low carbon transition from the chemical industry?
Okay, I think that we have been discussing about cost quite a lot, and the challenge that decarbonizing industry is going to be a challenge to be found, right? I think that carbon exchange markets is one of the ways to create some premium for this incredible ordeal, this incredible challenge of the carbonizing industry. What we see is that it looks like a prerequisite to kind of foster, to catalyze a little bit of these mega projects in the different geographies across the world. What is interesting is that when we speak about a worldwide market, these different markets need to interoperate. They are a little bit linked because our projects are meant to be able to serve different geographies. And then I think you made a question to other panelists on AI, right? I think that traceability is going to be a key word when we come to these carbon exchange markets, and being able to trace the actual carbon content and carbon intensity of a given product. This will need a lot of data, a lot of information and at scale, and this is where digitalizing and even more going to the next step in terms of AI, it's even more important. Okay? And this is also, I think, the second element is when we come to these huge markets with huge investments, operational data and confidence is going to be key. To be able to count, for example, the same as us with 10 years of experience in cryogenic carbon capture is going to be an asset in terms of financing. Being able to give the confidence to the different investors and regulatory bodies to be able to go and accelerate in that regard.
Oh, thank you. John, back to you again. The question here is, because I believe you're pretty much leading in the liquid hydrocarbon transformation, and when it comes to future digital technology, there's an expected increase in demand due to the actual use of AI. So how do you